Welcome to the fifth episode of the Daft Previews podcast. In this episode, we preview round 12, the Indigenous round of the NRL, and talk a whole lot of shit along the way. My name is Hector, and I'm joined by my co-host, Lycus. How you doing, bruz?
Good, man. Yourself?
Oh, I'm flying. She's so high. To kick things off, we're not doing headlines. I don't want to talk about high tackles. I don't want to talk about sin bins. It doesn't look like that shit's going to change. It's possibly ruin the game, but there's nothing else for us to watch. So what I wanted to talk to you about is last week. We didn't go perfect rounds in either anytime try scorers or in our $1.90 line bets.
No.
What tips did you lose and why? Who do you have to blame? Apart from yourself.
I've got obviously, I think the big upset, I think Roosters Broncos, that nobody saw that coming. I think it was paying $52 or $56, the 13 plus Broncos one. So if anyone got a dabble on that, hats off to them. They cost me, obviously. And then the Warriors, I think the Warriors decided to clock off towards the end, and we had them at -5.5, and they had it covered literally up until a minute to go on Friday night. So that was a pretty shit way to start the weekend. And for me personally as well, I had Manly 11 to 20 points. I thought they'd score. I didn't think they'd, again, put Parra to the sword. But Tommy Turbo's just putting on a clinic at the moment. So good to get the 220 anytime odds on him there. It's been reflected this week now. Everyone's picked up on it, and the bookies have really brought his odds in to score a try. But
he will.
Yeah, they're the three. In terms of any times, though, I can't fucking pick them to save my life. You think when teams are scoring 1,000 more points, and if we're picking tipping wise, it's a lot of not many upsets apart from obviously the Broncos, but Teddy's not scoring for the Roosters when they get the Charlie Staines. Obviously, Momorowski's back, and that means he just doesn't pass the ball to Charlie Staines. So, I've tried picking long shots and not scoring. I've tried picking favourites and not scoring. So this week I've just gone for a feel on who I think's going to score, who's due a try, and who's scoring currently at the moment. What about yourself?
What really got a bee in my bonnet was these anytime try scorers. I had the Fox and Ikavalu combined. If you multi them, pays like $1.03 because of how short they were. Both didn't score a fucking try. Nelson Asafa Solomon scored like 8 tries, and the Fox couldn't even. He ran for the ball 5 times, and it's not even Olam's fault. They had Chris Smith playing 6, and he just ran it every single time, and he's playing 6 again. So, not touching the Fox, and if you're fucking listening, don't touch the Fox. Keep your hands off it. I guess the other gripe I had was the Warriors one was awful. 10 points, up 10 points with a minute to go. I was cheering. I had big multis on, and it ruined everything.
Just James Tarmel that scored as well.
Yeah, he scored that last try.
Fucking hell.
I guess the other thing, the Roosters lost in that. Failed to cover the line, cost me quite a bit of coin, but at the same time was to my beloved Broncos, and had the rub of the green. The rest were right into it.
Tom Brady was playing, I heard.
Yeah, we got away with so many forward passes. That's why they suspended Tyson Gamble for just passing the ball forward too many times. But yeah, that one cost me a bit of coin, but happy that the boys brought it home. Fairly confident they'll do it again this week, but my bets don't reflect my confidence. Speaking of our tipping, this is our 5th episode now. I wanted to ask you, what's the success rate looking like in all the tips that we put up since we started?
We'll stick to the line bets. Now, bearing in mind also we use sports bet, and we put a line bet for every single game. So we don't select markets, we don't change bookies, we just keep it a sports bet because we have dreams of being sponsored by them one day and having some more bonus bets flicked our way. But if we keep going the way we're going, they might not be so happy. So for myself on the line bets this season, so far since we started, I'm at 59%, whereas you're surging at 66%.
Hector!
You've actually only had the one losing round. We had 4 out of 8 lines. But other than that, you've had profit rounds. So well in advance in terms of profit. If you just happen to put even amount of money in each one, you'd be up. So you're killing it.
And the death and the killing will continue. I assure you of that, my friend. I've got some hot tips for this round. Let's get straight into it, shall we? So we can really hammer in on you. And oh shit, look who's up first. So, it's great to have Thursday night football, and it's even better when the biggest clubs in the competition face off. In Suncorp at 7:50 on Thursday, we've got the Broncos versus the Melbourne Storm. The Broncos, we're going to be riding through Brisbane smiling after that 18-point win at the SCG. We never win at the SCG. Last time we played there, we lost 59-0. And we're praying that the Storm aren't back to full health. But last week, without any of Melbourne's first choice spine available, with Paps out, Munster out, Hughes out, and Harry Grant, the Storm still managed to put 34 unanswered points on Canberra last week. So I'm not confident the boys are going to be backing it up because our man Tyson Gamble's out, and the man, the MILF, the legend, Anthony Milford's back in the squad. We've got like a 10% win rate over the past few years with him starting at 6. Nico Hines going to be auditioning for his new jumper as Brisbane's number 1 fullback or 5'8", whatever he wants. Like, he wants to coach, we'll sign him up. But in terms of the rundown, looking at the team sheets here, we've got an unknown man, Tui Rabadi. He's been named to make his debut off the bench for the Broncos. Reece Kennedy moved from the interchange to replace the suspended Matt Lodge in the front row. Matt Lodge may have played his very last game for the Broncos. Rumour has it he'll be going to the Knights immediately. Anthony Milford gets his 3rd chance. He's named at 6, with Albert Kelly moving to 7. Herbie Farnworth is back in the lineup after a late withdrawal last week, and Dale Copley drops back to the reserves. We've got another potential debutant, Selwyn Cobbo. He's got a lot of big fans in reserve grade. I haven't seen much of him. Richie Kenner, Corey Pakes, all chances to play. For the Storm, Jerome Hughes, he's back. He had a late withdrawal last week. I thought that really was going to cook our bets, but they did it without him. Cooper Johns, he's back to the extended bench. Hopeless football player. Not a big fan of his. What do you think of Cooper?
Nah, I think he's living off his dad's shadow a bit. Even his highlight last week was the interview he did with Fox Sports saying his dad didn't come down to Canberra and send backs. Like, there's nothing about his game. It's all, every time he's on the camera, it's about his dad or something. So,
yeah,
I think he's again going to be a product of, pretty smart of him though. If you realize that you're that type of player, just come through the Melbourne system, prolong that career, and then you hopefully pick up a first grade contract somewhere and go from there.
Oh, yeah. He'll play for 10 years, but play like 60 first grade games.
Yeah.
Whenever Munster's out and everybody else. What else do we have? Kenny Bromwich, he'll spend another week out. He's got a dodgy hamstring. Chris Lewis, he's been named at number 6 again, so I can guarantee the Fox isn't going to touch the ball, and neither is Olam. News on Pappenhausen, he'll be out for another 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's all from the head knock, right?
Yeah, well, it's his second one this year. Happened, he was out against Penrith. Him and Cleary were out for head knocks. He's had 2 this year, and it wasn't it wasn't a great hit, obviously, but like, if he's going to play like that career, and he's going to cop more of those, and it's concerning at this stage of his career to have 2 of those head knocks, and he's been ruled out for so long. I know Melbourne are in a position they can probably afford to rest him, but he'd want to play, especially with Origin coming up, and he's trying to claim that bench spot. And if it's the way
Turbo's banging on, and Jesus,
so
poor puppy.
Yeah, I think big puppy there. He's not well.
I've got a stat on this game before you let me know what your thoughts are and who your tip is. Not sure if you're aware of this, but Melbourne have won the last 9 in a row against Brisbane. The last time Brisbane won was in 2016. It was 26-16, and it wasn't even at Suncorp. That was a great victory in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So the last time that Brisbane beat the Storm at Suncorp was in 2009. So over 10 years ago.
Wow. But that was, Suncorp was basically Billy Slater, Cam Smith, and Cooper Cronk's second home ground. They played they've played over 50 games at that ground, so they got used to playing there, and second home for them.
I love it. Yeah. So just, a couple of stats. Hopefully it doesn't sway you on your choices for this game. I know it may, but apart from this being entertaining, how do you see this one going?
I'm sticking to that formula. I'm also going back to the formula that I've been going with this year, and it works apart from obviously the Tigers scoring a late try, and with these below the bottom 8 teams, if they do get up for a big win, they're not backing up for a second week in a row. Brisbane have already done it this year when they trounced the Dogs, and they just came out and looked awful the week after. They played a good week against Penrith. They look awful the week after. Um, Magic round from memory was the same thing. They were going into Magic round on the back of a probably should have beaten the Cowboys. Um, Great game up at Townsville, and then absolutely shut the bed Magic round. So the line minus 20.5. I think Storm cover that. Obviously, they met already early this year, and they did start well Brisbane, and they have usually do put up fights against the Storm, but then it just blows away in the end. But I think minus 20.5, they'll cover comfortably. You look at the forward packs as well. It's like the depth. I know Melbourne are missing a ton of players, but Kamakamika and Big Nelson still can't get on that starting lineup. They're not doing too bad on the up front anyway, so they'll win the forward battle. Jerome Hughes will get the roll forward. Jennings, Smith, Ole Matokart, still a pretty good backline. You got this guy called Brandon Smith at hooker instead of Harry Grant, so they're not depleted. Anytime try scorers, he didn't play last week. He was ruled out late. I'm going back to him. $2.60. Jerome Hughes obviously will run the team and steer the team around again, like I thought he would last week. So
Yeah, he'll do something freakish and we'll get over. I'm going on the total points on this one because I've learnt my lesson after the shellacking the Broncos gave the Roosters not to tip against my squad. So even though I think there is some anal bleeding set to occur at 7:50 on Thursday, I've just gone the overs, 49.5 points. I think Melbourne will probably score 42 of those. And the Broncos, if we're lucky, will be able to score 2 tries. So we'll get well over 50 with both teams combined. My anytime try scorers, I'm not touching the Fox, even though he might be $1.20 or something. And the Broncos leak a whole lot of tries on their right side. I'm going with Big Nelson. So even though Nelson's coming off the bench, this lunatic scored 3 tries in his last 2 games. The Broncos are soft across the park. And I can see Nelson just running over poor Jake Turpin and then just slamming it down. And then Melbourne just getting in a stockpile and celebrations and just stomping all over Turpin and potentially ending his career. So Nelson at $6 is my anytime try scorer. And I'm fairly confident that it's going to come off. What do you think about that?
no, I like it. He'll definitely have a crack or two.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where you're not trusting goal line defense of Brisbane, even though they did get up the other last week. Roosters still looked pretty comfortable once they got inside their 20.
Yeah. I can't wait. I probably might even wear a Broncos jersey this week, so we'll see how that goes.
Naughty.
On to the first game on Friday at 6 p.m. in Queensland Country Back Stadium in Townsville. We've got the Cowboys versus the Warriors. This is a very difficult one to pick. These guys versed each other a month ago at Central Coast. The Warriors came away with a 24-20 win. Both teams scored 4 tries. It was the poor boot of Valentine Holmes, which cost the Cowboys the win. They now have, I guess, not home field advantage. The Cowboys got a 16-point win over the Knights. And the Warriors just snuck away with a 4-point win on the Tigers and fucking burnt out multis. So we're hoping Val Holmes sucking down a lot of green teas. So he's focused, he's sharp, he's well hydrated, and he kicks a lot better this week. But in terms of the team news, Cohen Hess is back, and he only replaces Jason Taumalolo, who got suspended for the first time in his bloody career.
Yeah, patting his dog.
The Hammer's back.
Hey.
So the Hammer's back and he's playing in the centres. Hopefully he gets some room with the way that the Warriors have been defending as of late. It should be very entertaining. Lachlan Burr, unfortunately, won't be attending this game after 2 weeks in a row of trying to take somebody's face off. He's been suspended. He has been suspended. Francis Molo, head knock. He got hit in the noggin and he's out for another week. We've got Peter Hola, Corey Jensen, And the try-scoring debutant, of Hector Lycus. He retains his spot on the bench. I've got big raps on this bloke. For the Warriors, Reece Walsh will be slotted at number 1. RTS will be staying on the wing. Rocco Berry's out with a head knock. Bunty Afoa and Ben Murdoch-Masila, they drop back to the interchange with Kane Evans and Jack Murchie in the starting lineup. Josh Curran and Tom Ale, they're out for another week. This is going to be close. I don't know who's going to win. How do you think this one goes?
This one, honestly, I feel like it's just I'm leaning points. Warriors, Reece Walsh is a gun at fullback. The team looks so much better with him at fullback. Starting him now again, which is good.
Nah, it's the Warrior system, mate. We didn't want him. He's not that good.
Nah, no good at all. But that's pretty much, you could argue, their best backline the Warriors have now. Also, Jake Clifford at the halfback for the Cowboys. Apparently, he's off to Newcastle next week anyway. So
yeah, farewell game.
Yeah, he could be checking out pretty much off the bat. I've gone the overs, over 49.5 points. I still think there's some dumb players in both teams and some sin bins still about, even though both teams have been impacted by these changes. And we're just going to assume that the refs aren't going to make a change, hence why the points lines are high, and we're just going to jump on a few of them. But I think, it's very hard. I think when in doubt, just pick the points and just get over and just cheer for no defense, which seems to be the theme at the moment, particularly these weaker teams. In terms of tries, I've gone back to Kyle Felt at $1.72. Scored a freak.
He'll score off a bomb.
I feel like there'll be a bomb where they just won't contest it. The Warriors will just stand there and just look at each other going, is that yours? $1.72 for me.
Well, Marcelo Montoya is on his wing, and he's terrible as a winger. He's actually been playing pretty good as a centre, but as a winger, he's shocking. Last week, he fumbled that ball around and gifted an Ofaluma try, which I needed for my same-game multi, by the way. But I'm with you. I'm back in the overs and points, 49.5. They both leak it more than an old tap. It's going to be entertaining. There's a lot of good runners of the football in this one, so we get to see a lot of the hammer going through. Reece Walsh is entertaining as it gets. Roger, but even Cody Nicarima and Drinkwater, very similar type of players. Great ball running halves. So it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to watch that one. In terms of anytime try scorers, I got my man Murray Tuolungi. He seems to be getting bigger every single week. He scored one of the slowest tries ever last week. Did you see that?
I did. Yeah, it was. I don't know. He looked like a prop.
Papali'i would have run him down. But yeah, backing him. They score a lot of their tries down the left. The Warriors are quite weak around the edges. They only defend the middle quite well. So I'm locking him in for a try. And $1.83, I think, is tremendous odds. But the main event on Friday is going to be fucking disgusting. I had to watch these guys play not too long ago. Now I have to watch them again. At 7:55 at Bank West. So this is a Tigers home game, I'm assuming.
Yes.
We've got the Tigers versus the Dragons. So both of these teams let a game get they could have won the game last week, but they let it go because they're shit. The Tigers last week, they were actually up 20-18 at the 62-minute mark, and they let the Warriors score 2 more tries. St. George, they matched Cronulla with 2 tries, but they lost in Golden Point because Corey Norman missed 2 shots at field goal. Elected not to take a shot when he should have.
Yeah.
And they really threw that game away. The Dragons, they still got quite a few outs. So the Tigers come into this game the healthier team. But in saying that, the Dragons are putting in a consistent effort every single week, and the same can't be said about the Tigers. I don't know if this is a good in, but it's an in. James Roberts is back. So he spent 4 weeks on the
as well, isn't he?
with a pec injury. Yep, he's on the wing.
Oh, see, I don't know
they
about
put
that.
Tommy Talau into center.
Yeah.
So whereas Tommy Talau's played a lot of wing, I don't know what James Roberts is going to do out there. But we'll see. Look, it could be another masterstroke by Madge. Probably not. They did drop Joey Leilua, which is quite interesting. We've got the dummy half, Jake Simpson, for the Tigers. He drops off the interchange. We've got Tom Amoni. So we've got an Amoni in each. Do you think these blokes are related?
They're
We've got a
both in jumper
Talachar.
14 as well.
They're both in jumper 14.
It's an omen.
I don't know if there's any relation there, but they're both in jumper 14. We were playing off the bench. For the Dragons, Josh Kerr, he's misses a week after a juicy little shoulder charge. Tarek Sims is back after, ripping people's faces off. One match ban. Chances are he gets sin bin to this week. Paul Vaughan moves into the starting side. And Daniel Alvaro, he was the 18th man last week. He got activated. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore. He's been promoted to the bench. Cody Ramsey, Jaden Hunt, and Max Feguy, they all failed their HIAs during the loss to the Sharks, but they've still been named for this week, so see how that goes. Jared Beale, I think 7 years ago was the last time he played for the Dragons. He's been signed, taken out of retirement. I don't know if he's been keeping himself healthy or not, but we shall see. He might be looking like a prop out there, but he's been put straight into the starting side to partner Jack Bird in the centres. So Dragons weak on troops, Tigers shit all round. How do you think this one goes?
Oh, when they met earlier this year, it was such a bad game. So, and last week, the Dragons Sharks game. The Dragons are a pretty boring team to watch, but they do keep it close most rounds, obviously, when they don't play a big team. So, obviously, the Roosters, they struggled with Melbourne. Melbourne only beat them 20-4. So they're not a team that gets blown off the park. And obviously they beat Para. That's upset. They're not a bad team, St. George, when you look at them in terms of they stay competitive. So I'm taking the handicap with the start. They're plus 5.5. I think it's going to be close again. It's a hard one to pick because I think a lot of it comes down to which Tigers team shows up. But the Dragons are 7th on the ladder. Tigers are 14th. There's a reason in it there, and it's just consistency. So that's why I'm going to take the Dragons. Obviously, a lot of talk with Dufty this week. Not playing is probably going to be a good thing in one sense because of all the distractions. Apparently, being told that he's not wanted there anymore. Yet he's your leading try scorer. I don't know what that's about. But they seem to have this theory on. I got a feeling they'll have a play for Milford or something and bring all the Queenslanders, all the Broncos boys back together.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that's my pick. My anytime
that's a winning recipe
scorer,
right there.
I'm backing the man to make up for his terrible field goal attempts. Norm's at $5. He scored this year a couple of times. Couldn't take a field goal, so he missed pretty bad on the first attempt. So he'll be training the house down, as they say. $5 is my pick. What have you got?
There might be a field goal in it for this one. Well, I've gone for the shit in this one, so I'm backing the Tigers, and I am not confident in this pick whatsoever. But they fucked my multi last week. I don't want to tip against them because chances are they'll fuck me again. But I'm loving the James Roberts inclusion. On his day, he can outplay Latrell Mitchell. On his day, he's in contention to play for New South Wales in the state of origin. Look, I'm talking shit. I'm not confident in his play at all. But Dane Laurie's really good. Nofaluma's a great winger. Mby's slotted in well at 6. He slotted that well into the 6. No one's talking about how shit Luke Brooks is anymore. That's how good of a job Moses is doing.
Yeah.
Luciano's destructive. Offengowie still sucks, but he's not playing for the Broncos, so I'm happy that he's at the Tigers. And I barely even know any of their players on their interchange. I don't know who these guys are, but they're all really good. That's what I've heard anyway. But I'm backing the Tigers out at Bankwest in Parramatta. There should be a strong crowd of about 300 people there to support them. So I'm backing them. Anytime try scorers, I've got Adam Dewey. He plays good regardless of where you put him. It's very threatening. And I don't know who he's lined up against, whether it's Jack Beard or Gerard Bird or Bill. But hopefully it's against Jack Bird because Jack Bird's been playing really hard, been putting in a lot of effort. Gets a bit upset at times, but
emotional. Shows he cares.
Yeah.
That's why I'm on him. He cares. They'll get up with him this week. He'll have a cracker. You watch.
they'll get up for him. We'll see. We'll see. It's you against me on this one. So one of us isn't getting a perfect round. I can assure you of that. Oh, look at this. First game on Saturday at 3 p.m. Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. This
Closest
is going to be a
game.
nail biter. Probably the first game where both teams score less than 10 points. I wonder what the odds are on that. But we've got the Penrith Panthers versus the Canterbury Bulldogs. Penrith still yet to suffer a loss in 2021, whereas the Bulldogs, from 11 games, they've won once. The Panthers are fresh off a 56-12 thrashing of South Sydney. They're in much better form now than when they were when they beat the Bulldogs 28-0 in round 2.
Yes.
So
in cyclonic weather conditions as well. It was pissing down that day.
what's your weather prediction for the Saturday? How's that looking?
It's looking pretty good. I've looked outside every day and I'm predicting it'll be clear skies and yeah, I see a lot of points.
Yeah.
But
what about this, right? What if Canterbury plays the perfect game? Absolutely perfect. What do you think the final score is?
I still think they'll struggle to get 3 tries. I think even Dogs at their absolute supreme best, I reckon Penrith at 50% covers them comfortably. Like not even, like I can't see them scoring more than 3 tries. They played last week a Titans team who are just dog shit, and they scored 4 tries against, and that's considered a big win for them. But I just can't see them challenging a try. Like I don't know how much they paying. I want to check how much they're paying to be kept to 0. So I think that could happen again.
It's not much.
It's probably the line actually, half a point. $1.90.
Well, the rundown for this one, we've got the what do we have for the Panthers? We've got Kurt Capewell, nice little crusher tackle on South last week. He's accepted a 1-week ban. Moses Leota, he's slotting back in. He had a late withdrawal last week. Liam Martin shifting into the second row. Dylan Edwards, he's failed to recover, so Critters, he's back at fullback, and your man Momorowski, he partners the hat-trick hero Matt Burton in the centres. For the Bulldogs, I can't wait for this one. Jack Hetherington is back.
Old club.
Up against his old club, he'll be motivated. He'll forget about the new penalties for high tackles, and he'll just be swinging. I cannot wait for that. I reckon he gets sin bin twice. There's no market for that, but he's getting. If Radley got sin bin twice, this guy's definitely getting sin bin twice.
Bradley set the bar. It's now he's gonna up it.
He's gonna have a brain explosion in the warm up. Just you wait. But in positive news for the Bulldogs, Josh Jackson is back and he'll be locking the scrum at 13. What else do we have? Siu Manafunga. Fucking hell, some of these names, mate. We'll call him Ava. He drops back to the interchange. Adam Elliott, he moves from 13 to the second row. Chris Smith is out suspended. Jackson Tapine returns from injury to replace Sione Katoa. He's also suspended. Dallin will play. He does have a foot injury, though. But he'll play through it because they've got no other backs, apparently, even though they're littered with bloody fullbacks. But overall, quite a strong team that the Bulldogs have put forward. I know you like stats, so I'm going to share a stat with you here that might make you lean. Actually, the stat I'm pulling up is not going to make you lean towards the Bulldogs at all. When these two teams met in round 2, the Bulldogs had 41% of possession, and in that game, they made 1 line break in 80 minutes. They also didn't have 1 forward run for more than 100 meters.
Jeez, I can see the same happening again. You look at that forward pack, there's no mobileness about that team. Like Jackson, slow and old, Elliott, big, Luke Thompson, big, Jack Hetherington, Tapine, Dury. They're not, they're like Dylan Napa off the bench. They don't have.
He's never made 100 meters in his life.
They don't have, and that's the problem. It's going to be played at a pace that the Dogs just don't like, and they can't. And that's the gist of most teams that play against Penrith is they go at that frenetic pace from start to every play of the ball they have. They look to spread, look to attack, look to score. They challenge you. They wear you out. And I think, yeah, I can't see unless Penrith pull a quick one and give Isaac to go a game and Lindsay Smith and Robert Jennings and Mitch Kenny on the bench a game because they are in the reserves. I think like $4.20 is what the Bulldogs are paying not to score a point. Like that's just incredible
Four
value.
dollars twenty.
Yeah, I think they can. The only way they're going to score is if Penrith clocks off, which they have last couple of weeks against Souths and got a bit lazy and Titans as well. But I've gone this one. I think Penrith will score over 42.5 points. The weather's good. It's Saturday afternoon. So you saw what they do when they get a dry deck and a daylight game football, Penrith. They play majority of their games in the evening. Cleary 210 anytime. That's crazy value. The guy is on another level. It's him and Tommy Turbo at the moment for the Dally M. Who stays fit and whoever stays fit will win it basically. If one gets injured, the other one will win it. They're my picks.
Yeah, fucking hell. I'm backing you. I'm on the same. I reckon I normally jump on these red hot teams to score 40 points every week anyway. It usually pays quite a bit, but the Panthers to score 42.5 is only paying $1.91, and so they should be. So I'll be jumping on them. But now that you've mentioned to hold Canterbury to nil, paying over $4, I'm going to have a lick at that too. In terms of anytime try scorers, you can pick anyone in the back line, but I'm going with Matt Burton. Got 3 last week. Didn't even think about passing it once, so I'm backing him to go over. $1.62 is pretty good values because what are the wingers? $1.30.
$1.30 a pop.
Nah, I'm not.
The only thing obviously as well is Charlie Staines. He's not going to. He probably will score. Let's be honest. They're going to score that many points. But
Yeah,
Momorowski, I think Momorowski could be a good goer as well because
he's not passing.
he's not passing and they're going to get cracks and he's paying $2. So I think if you're going to get Charlie Staines, you're better off going Momorowski.
How much is Momorowski?
$2.
$2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a look at him. We'll have a crack at it. I reckon a lot of them are going to go over. It's tough times to be a doggy supporter, and it's going to be even tougher this week. But hopefully they get a couple sin bins. But we've seen a lot of teams when they're down to 12 players, they still run points on teams. It's like the teams, that should benefit from the sin bin. It's like it gets in their head, and they panic. So
Yeah, they start to throw the ball around and think, well, they've got to take the advantage. Particularly the strong teams seem to be okay playing one short. They manage the game better, whereas the weaker teams, like you saw the other week, the Dogs actually did have 2 Canberra players, one in the bin, one sent off, and they still couldn't score. They panicked, and they should easily be scoring with 2 extra players in the field.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping some Penrith players do get sin bin. Well, I want something entertaining to watch. But if that game's not entertaining, I know what will be. The next clash at 5:30, we've got the South Sydney Rabbitohs up against the Parramatta Eels. Both teams coming to this game in very similar form. Shit. They both got thumped in round 11. South, they coughed up 50-plus points to Penrith and Melbourne. But at the same time, those are the only 2 losses South have had. So they're not near the top, but they're clearly a lot better than the bottom.
Yep.
Parramatta were favourites to win last week against Manly, but the turbo effect resulted in a 28-6 loss. So, but Manly were doing it for Bozo, so they had that. Manly did what the Tigers were supposed to do.
For Tommy.
So that's how you're supposed to come out.
Yep.
But in positive news for South, we see the return of Cam Murray and also Jacob Host. Liam Knight and Jaden Sewer have been relegated. Some regular first graders there being regulated after the pumping they received last week. The Source copped a head knock and he'll miss this week's game. Then he'll be replaced by the better Tane Milne. Jai Arrow's been promoted to start at prop. So he's been warming the bench all year round, but he's been playing well off the bench. So he'll be starting at prop. Thomas Burgess going to the bench. Hame Sele joins the bench, and Jed Cartwright misses out. For the Eels, RCG took an early P on a high tackle charge. He'll miss this weekend's game. Oregon Kafusi moves into the starting side, and Murata Nakore joins the bench. So this is his comeback game after serving a 2-week suspension. Dylan Brown still has another week after knee dropping somebody in the back. And Will Smith, he's still a week away. So expect Parra to be full strength next week, unless they get absolutely ravaged by some injuries. The matchup I'm looking most forward to is the Battle of the Nines. This is probably how the State of Origin one's going to look with Reed Marnie and Damien Cook going head-to-head. So really interested to see that. The stat attack, we've got, here we go, both teams rank in the top 5 for ineffective tackles. Shithouse tackles. They're in the top 10 for handling errors. Souths are also top 10 for penalties conceded. But Parramatta, very good. They don't give away many penalties. Very disciplined side, but still got fucking pumped by Manly. This is a flip of a coin to some, but not to me. I know who I'm back on this one. What are your thoughts?
I think with any team that plays Melbourne and Penrith, you don't use them as the form guide at the moment because they're just mauling everyone. And this is if Cam Murray plays. I know Bennett was a bit. If he's right, we'll play him. If not, if he does play, it's basically a full strength Souths lineup. Like this, I can't think of. Like Josh Mansour is not. He's not a first grader. I don't know why they played him last week. It was good for me as a Panthers fan to watch, but. Maybe Jackson Paulo might be in there instead, but like it's basically a full strength South lineup.
Their left edge is full strength. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's where they're going to go anyway. So, and Latrell's going to have an extra week in his legs. As you can see from him, he's not exactly the fittest and probably the hardest trainer in footy. So I think getting a game under his belt, he'll be better. I think Parra, maybe because I'm a Panthers fan, I don't rate him as highly as a lot of people rate them. I think every time they seem to play like a crunch or a tough game, plus Brown out is still massive. How Nathan Brown stayed on the field last week, he was just motivated to take someone's head off. The Cardi party's finally winding up. It's not as hyped up as people thought. So, yeah, I think this is going to be South. So I got like -3.5. I think take that now. Because, again, they are the home team when I was Stadium Australia. And Cody Walker, $2.30. If there's a guy who loves crashing over Indigenous round, it's Cody Walker. Made me big money last year. $2.30. That's my pick.
Loves it. And I'm backing you. I've got the exact same picks. I think Souths will do them over. Eels probably crumble a little bit on this one. They've been playing too well for too long. Mitchell Moses seems a little bit rattled. He hasn't been that good for the last few weeks. I think it's all the contract negotiations probably getting to his head.
Yeah.
But even Junior Paulo's been a bit quiet. Even Papali'i burst onto the scene this year, but he's been quiet for the last few weeks. Hasn't scored tries. Just doing his shit work the whole time.
I'll tell you actually who was bad last week and got exposed. Wonga Blake.
Yep.
Manly Manly ran right down that their left edge, and that's where Souths are going to go. I can't see Wonga Blake making a good decision again. And him and Fergo are in for a long day down that edge.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. But look, they're 2.5. Was it 3.5?
3.5. Yeah, it's pretty
tremendous value there. So yeah, I'll be jumping on that one for sure. And that's your 5:30 game. So if you're half cut by then, it only gets better. We move on to 7:35 at Central Coast Stadium. We've got the Roosters versus the Canberra Raiders, or the Faders. They only play one half of football, these blokes. They're both licking their wins, though. They suffered humiliating defeats. The Roosters were embarrassed 34-16 by one of the best teams in the comp, so no need to be embarrassed. The Broncos ran heaps of tries all over them. David Mead, as if it was 2009 again. Long-range tries. On the Raiders, once again, they folded like origami, gave up 34 unanswered points by the Storm. Big outs for Canberra with Big Nose. What's his name again? George. With George
Williams.
George Williams getting a bit homesick, seeking an immediate release. Canberra's like, fuck off then. They let him go. What that means, they've got a lot of money to play around with. They'll be hunting for people like Sean Johnson and Anthony Milford, whatever leftover half that they could find, try to fill that spot. So they've got the cash for it. Not sure if they're a desired location, but we shall see. Do you know how Victor Radley and Angus Crichton went fronting up on
Yeah.
the panel?
Well, surprisingly, the Roosters actually were no good at judiciary tonight. So it's shock. Because usually them and Melbourne seem to be the masters of it. So Radley was seeking a downgrade and Crichton was challenging the decision. Both were unsuccessful. So Radley's out for 5 weeks. So he's out
Oh,
after Origin 2. So he's gone for Origin basically, unless they for some reason need him for game 3. And Crichton's unsuccessful, so he's out for 2 weeks as well. So that needs to be obviously updated. So I'd imagine Baker will probably come into, or Nat Butcher will come into the starting lineup, and Egan Butcher might come in. But yeah, so Angus is gone skis.
gone. Well, there's some two big outs. One big in, though. Josh Morris returns from a back problem, which means Swali's gone back to the reserves. Josh Morris is coming at the perfect time because I picked him as my anytime try scorer. For the Faders, Jack White and Josh Hodgson both returned from suspension, and Jordan Rapana is back from a hamstring injury. Sam Williams is the new halfback after George been released and he's gone home. Tom Starling keeps the number 9, so Hodgson's going to come from the bench. Didn't work for him last time, but let's see what happens this time. And Semi Valame, he makes way for the try-scoring machine, Jordan Rapana, to come back. The line on this one's 11.5. How do you see this one's going?
I looked at the line for the halves, and I think Roosters were -5.5 in the first half, -6.5 in the second half. I don't know how you can give a team only one extra point start in the second half when they have looked awful in the second half. Like, and they're not changing anything. I know they've got a couple of ins, but like that forward pack is so big and slow. And then you've got Soliola, Horsburgh, and Ryan James off the bench. Like, that's not going to really add any impact. And I think a lot of teams need to realize, if you look at the teams that do well, they've got mobile players on their bench. I think, yeah, with Radley obviously big out, and Crichton is still a massive out as well. I still think Roosters will have enough class across the ground playing at Central Coast. So still a home game for the Roosters. It's only, I think, probably 45 an hour away to the Gosford for them, whereas Raiders still got to travel a fair bit. There's a lot. The George Williams thing was a bit of a storm because he's come out and said today, post being released, that he did not ask for an immediate release. He asked for a release at the end of the season and just asked it because he spoke to the welfare officer. So you can imagine what NRL 360 and the boys are going to do with that little bit of info. They're going to really go after Ferner and the Raiders after supporting them early in the year when they said Penrith were arrogant. So Ricky Stewart had a press conference that went for, I think, what was it, minute 15 or something the other day after their loss. And he's been criticised. The club is just an absolute shambles at the moment, and they're not, I can't see them getting out of it. So I'm taking the -6.5 second half. Teddy is paying $1.72. I think with similar what he did in Magic Round, all this hype around Tom Turbo and best fullback in the game, he's going to make a point of it. Yeah, that's my pick.
Beautiful. Well, I'm taking Roosters with 11.5. I reckon they'll cover 11.5 in the second half alone. The brilliance of Sam Walker is going to get them over. I am backing Josh Morris to score. The Faders give up a lot of points on their right side, and Toops is too short for me. So backing Josh Morris in his return game to go over for a meat pie. We're into Sunday's games. Some close matchups here. At 2 o'clock at Coffs Harbour, we see the Cronulla Sharks versus the Gold Coast Titans. It's a neutral territory. It does make it a little bit harder to predict because both teams are terrible away from their home grounds.
Yep.
I'm not sure if the Sharks are going to take any confidence out of last week. Probably they look relieved. They were celebrating like crazy after finally getting that win, but I don't know if it's enough to mean they'll be confident coming into this one. The Titans also, they bounced back. They got mauled by the Panthers, and then they beat the Bulldogs 30-20 again. Would you take confidence out of beating the Bulldogs by 10 and letting them score 20 points?
At home as well.
Yeah, so, but they do have some big ins, which might get them rock hard and ready to go. For the Sharks, though, Hiroti, he's been obviously suspended after destroying Cody Ramsey. Josh Dugan and Teague Wilton have also been suspended. Ronaldo does come back though. Mulatalo's back. He's on the wing. Wilton is replaced by Talakai. So he put a massive shot on not too long, weeks and weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
And that was before they changed the penalties.
that was.
So he had a 4-game suspension. He's back now.
Be banned for life if he did it.
Yeah. Jesse Raymond's back from an eye injury. He'll be filling Dugan's centre spot. Sean Johnson's been named to return from a hamstring injury, and if he does play, it'll be his 200th career game. Chad Townsend looks to be dropped.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the reserves. We've got a budget Viliami kicker in Andrew Fafita. He's back on the bench. He was left out last week. And he's taken the spot of Billy Magoulias. In exciting news, though, the Titans see the return of David Fafita. He's come back from his suspension. Sam Stone's been pushed out of the squad. Patrick Herbert's back from a calf injury. So Eson Masters drops out of the side completely. Ash Taylor's listed among the reserves, but rumour has it he's still suffering from a hip injury. And most likely Tana Boyd will be slotting in at 6. Again, this is another tough game. It's close. The line in this one's only 2.5. The Titans have lost their last 5 games against the Sharks. The last time that they beat them was in July 2017, and that was at Seabus. But how do you see this game going out in Coffs?
Yeah, very hard to pick. Look at that. Also, just a little point worthy. Jump a 20 for the Sharks. There's a chance he might get a run. It's Franklin Pele, so he could have Pele and Ronaldo playing in the same team. That'd be pretty cool. Be a football buffs. Yeah. So I look at both these teams, and I don't know what you're going to get each. Obviously, the Sharks you'll get an effort, but then they can just fold pretty quickly as well. Chad Townsend being dropped is pretty big. I think this is the first time Moreland Johnson played in the halves this season together. But he's got 2 feet. David Fafita is a massive in for them. They are desperate for him. But then again, I don't think he's the reason why their defense is leaking points. So you look at the forward pack. You got Proctor, Tino, Fafita, Jared Wallace. Like they're gun forwards. How they leak so many points is crazy to me. But I've lent with also just on the back of Chad Townsend being dropped. I know Sean Johnson probably will kick and Moreland can kick, but Sharks under 23.5 points. And I know the Titans leak points, but I'm backing that they don't score 5 tries. I'm not guessing that. I think if you look at that forward pack, if they're going to score, it's going to be out wide, the Sharks, through, Will Kennedy or Ronaldo Mulatalo. I don't think Wade Graham and those boys are busting through. So I'm going with the under 23.5 points for Cronulla. Could be similar to last week against the Dragons. It could turn into a grind fest. But in terms of any times, I've gone the big fella. He's back 2.20. David Fafita. He's got a point to prove now, especially with Origin coming up.
Yep.
He's got to really make his claim on a really short turnaround. So that's my picks.
I've got the Titans covering the line at 2.5. On paper, the Sharks have quite a strong team. The Titans on paper have an excellent forward pack, but their backs are a little bit meh. How you going? Apart from AJ Brimson, but purely on form, the Titans are scoring a lot of points, leaking a lot of points. The Sharks are just shit on both sides of the ball. They're just, I don't know, they're just not playing to their potential, and I don't blame them. Dave Fafita is a massive in. I've got him as an anytime try scorer. Whoever's defending him, good luck to you. But even Fodawaker, Jared Wallace, they'd, be good chances of making the Queensland squad, so they'd be firing up. Do you think Tino makes the New South Wales squad this year?
I don't think he will. I think players are there's too many players.
He's out of the Melbourne system.
He's out of that Melbourne system. Yeah, is a big thing, and he's been good, but I think he's going to be a product of Titans not playing to their potential. I think if Titans were well entrenched in the 8 and won more games they should have, I think Isaiah Yo's ahead of him to begin with. Like, I think Isaiah Yo will get the starting spot. And you got Cam Murray as well, I think, is ahead. Like, Yeah, I can't see him getting picked. I don't think any, apart from Brimson, don't think there's any. I know Jared Wallace is playing for the Jersey and Fafita, so I think Brimson and Fafita are probably only two literally out of both teams that make Origin. Ronaldo is a long shot, obviously, as well, coming back from injury. So
Yeah, I think they'll have Coates and Val Holmes on the wing for
yeah,
Queensland.
yeah,
So, but yeah, should be an entertaining one. Should be. I'm backing them the Titans to score a lot of points because that's all they do. They don't defend very well, but let's see how this one goes. The final game of the round. We've got one fucking shithouse team, so it's at McDonald Jones Stadium. We've got the Newcastle Knights taking on Tom Travojevic and friends. So this kicks off at 4 p.m. Big ins for Newcastle though. Kalen Ponga's back in. He's missed quite a little bit of time, and they've been absolutely terrible without him. After the shit go last week, Coach Adam O'Brien had a lot of positive things to say about how they played. I don't know what fucking shit he's smoking, but they've been terrible. You got some Blake Green news?
yeah. Blake Green about 2-3 hours ago announced his immediate retirement. So he realised that he can't keep up and he's done. So
He's gone, and I don't blame him. It's a smart decision. Life after footy. Um, Manly come into these red hot favourites. They've won 6 of their last 7, with their only loss being to Penrith, which they took it to them. Turbo's just racking up Dally M points every single game. The line's only 11.5, so I don't know what's going on there. But for the team news, we've got Kalen Ponga. He's injured groin, he's back. And it's also is Bradman Best. Kurt Mann moves from fullback to 5'8", and Phoenix Crossland is the new halfback until what's his name from the Cowboys comes back, comes in
Clifford.
until Clifford comes in.
Yep.
Simi Sasagi, he drops out of the 17 to make way for Bradman Best's return. A big in for Manly though is Curtis Sirenen. So he's had a knee injury, kept him out for quite a while. Carl Lawton retains his spot on the side after playing his very first game last weekend, and he's been promoted from the bench to the run-on side in the back row. Ola Kawatu, he drops out of last week's 17, unfortunately, because I like watching him play. Sipley, he was always going to get suspended, so he's gone. Dangerous contact. But actually, no, he is. He isn't gone. What am I talking about? He's escaped with just a fine.
Yeah.
Entered the early guilty plea. Dylan Walker, from that atomic wedgie that he got, pulled his hamstring. Still out, and Kieran Foran, sorry. They're not expected back until after the bye. I see Manly running an absolute train on Newcastle. Turbo scoring 3 tries. The Knights had 8 players run over 100 meters last week against the Cowboys. Can you believe that?
Wow.
8 players, and they still got annihilated. So clearly missing something, and that's definitely within their backs and their halves. So hopefully Kalen Ponga can probably help them out a little bit. But how do you see this game going?
I can't believe it's only 11.5. I know Ponga's back, but Manly are people not giving Manly the credit they deserve. As you said, the only game they've lost since Turbo was back was against Penrith at Bathurst, and they all gave Penrith a good run there. I think they're only 8 points behind until the end, until Penrith scored that last try to win by 14. But since then, they haven't just beaten teams; they've thrashed everyone. Like they put a number on Para at Bankwest last week, where everyone thought Para were the top 4 locks, and I don't know how this is only 11.5. I think also Schuster moving to 5'8" has just been like Kieran Foran getting injured has been a blessing for them, because now they look like they've got threat in both edges rather than going just through Cherry Evans and Turbo.
Yeah.
But I think they cover this line comfortably, 8.5. Like I know the Warriors kept them close, Manly, but they've just put clinics on everyone. And my anytime, obviously Turbo, they've copped on. I think it's like $1.45 now for anytime. So steering clear of them. Morgan Harper, 280.
The stash.
I think I reckon. Look, he looks dodgy as, and I rate that. I like him, man. He looks like he's about to rob a bank or something. So
He's up to no good.
he is, and I rate the hairdo and the Mo's. So I'm backing him at 280. Against, I reckon, a very underwhelming Newcastle backline with Bradman Best being way below where he was last year. He was untouchable at some points. Plus, Tuala, Staffatoa, Braden Musgrove, they're not first graders. So, yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, they're not in the same league. I'm backing Manly to cover the line in this one, and I'm going with the Ginger Ninja as an anytime try scorer, Brad Parker. Got that Jack Reed vibe of him. He'll get over for a meat pie off a Turbo pass. I can see it already. Once Turbo's done scoring enough of them on his own. Look for Brad Parker to pick up the cookies here. Won't be close. I just can't see Newcastle winning a game until they versus the Bulldogs, to be honest. And hopefully that's soon. But apart from that, that's your preview for the round. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we departed this wonderful potty?
No, well, obviously, I think State of Origin teams get named next week, I believe it is.
Are they doing it on Sunday night?
They usually do. I think New South Wales usually do theirs on a Sunday, and Queensland do theirs Monday during the day. So I believe the team names get named this weekend. So, well, everyone's talking about their picks. So,
let's do your picks. I saw on fucking Spud Carroll's picks. They're fucking awful. So too many concussions for that bloke. But let's go 1 through 13.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with your New South Wales squad, and I'm putting you on the spot here. We didn't prepare for this.
No, we haven't, but I'll give it a crack.
But like every rugby league degenerate, you should be able to rattle these off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll rattle mine off, and then when
Yeah.
Freddie picks his team, and Greeny picks his team, we'll see who was the closest. Now, no Google searches.
No, I'm just trying to type up the team so I know where I'm at, which number I'm up to. All right,
Okay.
we'll go 1 through 13. All right, So obviously you want me to just go 113 and you go 113. We're going to talk each position. All right, we'll just do 113.
Nah.
All right, so my fullback will be Teddy, which is pretty straightforward. He's already named, so that's like a free bet for me.
Yeah.
My my wingers, I've gone Toto on one wing and Addo Carr on the other wing. Centers, I've gone Tommy Turbo and Latrell. So I think I don't know if they will, but I think that to me is a scary back five. Like that is just attack, threat, defense. Like you can't. There's no weak. I don't know, maybe defense in that. You got Luai and Cleary. I think a pretty safe calves combos. I don't think they should mix it up or do anything crazy. Isaiah 13. I got 9. I'm just skipping now. Go ahead. 9 will be Cook, even though Appy will be giving him a run for his money at the moment.
Cook's been shit.
Cook has been very underwhelming, but maybe he'll benefit from a New South Wales team with a faster play ball because I think he relies heavily on Cam Murray. I think that's what's killing him at the moment. Junior Paulo will whack in at 8. I guess we can put him at 10, but we'll go Junior Paulo as my 8. Saifidi as my 10.
Ooh.
And my back rowers. Ooh, who do we have in back rows? I feel like Frizzell. I wouldn't give it to. Whose back rows are eligible?
Davida Pangai Jr.
Oh gosh, that's not with this current.
Mate, if you want to shut down David Fafita, you put Davida on him.
Yeah. I don't think Jake Travojevic even gets in either.
Nah, he just cries too much.
Yeah, I think Jake Travojevic will struggle to get picked. Payne Haas, I think, will get a bench spot. If not, it's him or Safidi for the prop. I think Cam Murray, you got to find a spot for. So we'll go Cam Murray and Who's going to be on the second rower? Gosh, someone's gone from top of my head who's killing it. Well, I'll just leave it at that. I'll give you my 1 to 12. Unless you've got like a secret. Victor the Inflictor would have been in there for me though.
Oh, he would have, but you don't want him in your side with these rule changes.
Yeah.
What have I got? I obviously go for Queensland, so I don't know much about New South Wales players. No, takes. What have I got? Teddy at 1. I got the Fox at 2. Turbo Latrell in the centres. And I'm not going Toto. I reckon Tupou gets a run.
Wow.
Actually, I was thinking of someone else, not Tupou. Because they're all left wingers. You've named 2 left wingers. Tupou's a left winger as well.
Yeah, that's correct. But
Yeah.
Toto played the other side last year, so it's not. I don't think it's, and I don't think he's picked in there for his. He can catch and score, and I think he brings the ball out pretty strongly to the side. So
He does.
yeah,
You just don't want Xavier Coach jumping all over him, you know?
True.
Let's just stick with Tupes for now. I've got the Penrith combination in the halves.
Yep.
My props, Paulo and Payne Haas. I would like to see Appy in there, but I don't think he'll get picked because Cookie's been there and done that. So I think he'll go in. I like Isaiah Yeo at 13. Second rowers. What was one of your second rowers? Because you only gave me one, right?
Cam Murray there, but
You can't Murray.
yeah, I know he's a lot, but
Yeah. I think Angus Crichton is one.
oh yeah, I suppose. Does he make it with the suspension? I don't know if he does.
Mate, they're a bit thin. They're a bit thin because Frizzell's not that good.
No.
Yeah, he's not that good. Tarek Sims, his form's dropped off in the last month. Shit. Looks like we got a problem in New South Wales.
I swear we're not thinking of back rollers. I feel like they've got a ton. I'm trying to think of the back rollers.
Luciano Leilua's got to come in now.
He's pretty good.
Well, Finucane will probably have a bench spot.
I don't think Liam Martin will get in. That's the one they've been tossing up.
Smoky.
Tarek Sims again. Well, he's played there before. Frizzell we touched on. Jake Travojevic. But Jake Travojevic might even get in after all that.
Playing the second row though? Well,
He can play
because Isaiah can play in the second row.
Yeah, true.
So we could see him in there. Yeah, might be some holes around the forward pack. Not looking good for New South Wales based on our selections. Let's get into Queensland. What do you have for Queensland 13?
Obviously, if he's fit and provided he goes all good, I'd probably go Ponga at fullback, Holmes on one wing, Coates on the other wing. Gagai just because he's a freak for Queensland. He's having one centre. Who did he play other centre?
Brinko Lee was there last year.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking. He
He's playing reserve grade.
Kurt Capewell game 1.
You might have to.
Could do a job. I think obviously Cherry Evans and Munster halves. Reid Marnie's your hooker. Your team's very easy to pick actually when you think about it.
Well, apparently Cam Munster might not even make Origin.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because of his injury. They might have Ponga at 6 and Brimson at 1.
Yeah. Your forwards. Yeah, so if that's okay. Your forwards are going to be obviously Welch will be in there, Fafita will be in there. I don't think Papali or Papali. I don't think he'll get in though.
He has to.
I know he does, but he's been underwhelming.
He's so good in Origin though. Anytime try scorer.
Kafusi will still get a run, obviously.
Felice will be in.
I feel like there's got to be some bolters in there, some Brisbane forwards.
Nah, they're all fucking awful.
Yeah.
Or they're from New South Wales.
Jaden Sewer.
Oh, Jaden Sewer can have, but
he's benched this week, but he's been doing bits. Tino's a Queensland. I think we said New South Wales player earlier. Sorry, I'm getting him mixed up when he fought Payne Haas last year.
Yeah, my bad.
So I think Tino will get in the Queensland team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think your back line basically picks itself.
Yeah, that's true. There's no one bursting on the scenes. Reece Walsh, mate. Next year he'll be.
Yeah,
He'll have to be.
but that's not what you need is another fullback. You guys have that in droves.
Yeah, well, so does New South Wales.
True.
I think Queensland's just smart enough not to put a fullback in the centres. Well, they did play Ponga at fucking lock one time, so
That's true.
anything can happen in the Origin arena. All right, bros, let's wrap this motherfucker up. It was good chatting to you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Get our best bets out to you soon.
Cheers, guys.